In a world where leadership often drowns in noise, ego, and spectacle, one moment inside a courtroom changed everything. When the brash confidence of Donald Trump collided with the composed, unshaken presence of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young, disciplined president of Burkina Faso, and the outcome left not just the courtroom silent, but the world watching in awe. The story begins with the hum of cameras, the shuffle of lawyers, and the murmuring of journalists who had gathered to witness what they believed would be a routine international legal hearing. Trump walked in with the familiar swagger that had defined his public image, shoulders square, chin lifted, a man who had built his identity around dominance and control. Yet sitting opposite him was someone who embodied an entirely different kind of power. Ibrahim Traoré, calm as ever, dressed simply, his posture straight, his expression unreadable. There was no entourage, no theatrics, just presence. The air seemed to tighten as the two men faced each other. Symbols of two worlds, one of Western bravado and bluster, and one of African discipline and dignity. The tension rose not because of words, but because of energy. Trump, used to commanding the room, found himself oddly unsettled by Traoré's silence. The young captain didn't react, didn't smile, didn't even blink. It was as if he had already seen through every layer of Trump's performance. And what he saw didn't impress him. Then came the outburst. Trump, provoked by a question about integrity and global leadership, lashed out both verbally and physically, hitting the table, pointing fingers, and, in that heated moment, slapping his hand against Traoré's arm in anger. Gasps filled the courtroom. The cameras froze. But Traoré didn't flinch. Instead, he looked directly at Trump, not with hatred, not with fear, but with a calm that cut deeper than any shout could. In that stillness, something broke, not in Traoré, but in Trump. The force of the young leader's composure became a mirror, reflecting back all the fragility, the insecurity, and the chaos behind Trump's bluster. Within seconds, the man who had made a career out of dominance found himself unraveling. His voice faltered. His hands trembled. The silence grew heavier, pressing against him until the weight of his own pride became unbearable. And then, in a moment that stunned the world, Trump lowered his head, tears pooling in his eyes, realizing that for all his wealth, fame, and power, he was standing before someone whose strength came from something he could never buy: discipline, honor, and purpose. That was the moment the cameras captured. Trump on the floor, shaken, humbled, while Traoré remained standing, unmoved. The embodiment of a new kind of leadership the world wasn't ready for. But this wasn't just a scene about two men. It was a reflection of a global shift. For decades, the narrative of power had been dominated by the West, defined by who shouted the loudest,